In my NFL Top 100 for the Pro Football Network, this is how the distribution ended up out of those 100. There were 7 quarterbacks, 7 running backs, 13 wide receivers, 3 tight ends, 9 offensive tackles, 6 guards, 2 centers, 11 defensive tackles or interior players, 11 edge rushers, 6 linebackers, 15 cornerbacks, and 10 safeties. And guys, it's always a controversial list. Every single top 100 is, because fantastic players are going to be left out no matter what. But I wanted to get into some of the more controversial things while also giving just a general overview of what the top 100 looked like. There were a couple quarterbacks up high, but I didn't want to input positional value into the top 100. I wanted to make this list based off of how dominant a player is at his position, and then try my best to figure out a way to weigh all of the different positions. And when you look at that, there are ridiculous talents at wide receiver. I had 13 of them. I could have added another 5 or 6 most likely. Cornerback was the same way. You have these positions that have more players on the field at one time anyways, like those positions. But the biggest thing that I always see with these top 100s is the devaluation of offensive linemen. And for these sorts of things, I wanted to make sure that offensive linemen got their due. There's 9 offensive tackles, there's 6 guards, there was almost 7 guards on the list. And I think that, to toot my own horn, I think I did a decent job of spreading out the love with these things. Now, I was a coward at times. You have 3 defensive tackles back-to-back at 25, 26, and 27 with Jeffrey Simmons, Quinton Williams, and Dexter Lawrence. Flip a coin for whichever one that you like more. I love all 3 of those players. And this is the toughest part about doing a top 100 list like this is, when you look down at number 29 on the list is Jalen Ramsey. He might still be a top 10 player in the NFL, but there's so much talent on this list that it is tough to really kind of place how good these guys are in the pantheon of the NFL. Listen, Patrick Mahomes is number 1, and just that's all there is to it. We saw him in the Super Bowl on one leg, and I firmly believe that the best quarterback in the NFL is Patrick Mahomes. The second or the third best quarterback in the NFL might be Josh Allen and Joe Burrow, in any order that you would like to place them. I have Joe Burrow ahead of Josh Allen a little bit. I think he's a little bit more consistent, even though Josh Allen's ceiling might be a little bit higher. When it comes down to it, I think Patrick Mahomes on one leg is the 4th best quarterback in the NFL. And it's just fantastic. What he was able to do in the Super Bowl against that defense was unbelievable. He is the best player in the NFL. It was really difficult to push Aaron Donald down from 2 to 3, but I think he had a down enough season to have somebody like Micah Parsons take that mantle. And listen, Micah Parsons has to prove it again this year. I think that he has a chance to break the sack record. Year 3 with Dan Quinn, he has added a little bit of bulk to kind of live up or survive playing on the edge for a bulk of his snaps. So I think that that'll help him not kind of fizzle out the way that he did towards the end of the season last year and the way that he did his rookie year when he got a little bit banged up. Travis Kelce at number 4, Trent Williams number 5, Myles Garrett number 6, Lane Johnson number 7, Justin Jefferson number 8, Tyreek Hill number 9, and TJ Watt at number 10. And these edge rushers are the most difficult because TJ Watt, the Pittsburgh Steelers, that is a cult-like fan base. They are diehards and they cape for their guy. And it's really difficult to choose between Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett and TJ Watt and Nick Bosa. And so you really just got to go off of the positional rankings. And I know that I have Micah Parsons over Myles Garrett, even though Garrett was number 1 in my edge rankings. It's because Micah Parsons also brings that element at the second level as a blitzer, in the A gap. There are so many different aspects to his game. But the biggest thing that put Micah Parsons at number 2 on this list is the on-off field splits. When he is on the field, the defensive EPA is incredible. And when he is off the field, it is like negative 0.4 per play on drop back passes. And it is like 0.12 when he is off of the field. There is a massive difference when he is off versus when he is on compared to the rest of those edge rushers. And you can get those numbers on those edge rankings or at SIS is where I got them. When you look at the rest of the list, I really wanted to make sure that the offensive guards got some love, the centers got some love, because I feel like even in these top 100 lists, those guys, They end up on the list. There's no doubt about it. You can't leave Creed Humphrey and Jason Kelce off of these lists. But I feel like because the center position is undervalued, because the guard position is undervalued, I feel like those guys get dropped back a little bit. Zach Martin at number 17, he was the highest rated interior player. I think he's the best guard that we have seen this generation or the generation prior. You really got to go back to like Larry Allen to have somebody who was that much of an animal, that much of a machine. And then you have guys like Creed Humphrey, and I have Creed Humphrey above Jason Kelce. I think he is the perfect center for the NFL these days. Jason Kelce was fantastic, but he is aging a little bit, and I think that it is time to give up that crown. You have guys, like Hassan Reddick and Max Crosby. Those guys being down at number 36 and number 37 hurt my soul, because I truly believe that both of those guys can be considered top 20 players, top 15 players in the NFL overall. And especially on any given day, you can see Max Crosby get 12, 13 pressures, and you can see, obviously like Hassan Reddick in the playoffs go absolutely buck wild. But I do think when we go down a little bit later on the list, you got A.J. Brown at 46, Jamar Chase at 47. Like, these are things that make making these lists so difficult, because when you go through and you do these, I don't even like this list. And I understand why fans don't like this list, but I laid it out like this. There's 100 players. There are 32 teams. If you believe that your favorite football team has 8 top 100 players, you are most likely very wrong. And the other thing that I wanted to bring up here, Jacksonville Jaguars fans, you are upset. I understand why you are upset, but you shouldn't be upset. There not being any top 100 players for the Jacksonville Jaguars is not a bad thing. I've talked all offseason in Jacksonville, on Jacksonville radio. You guys have control of that division. You are the much better team compared to the Indianapolis Colts, the Tennessee Titans, or the Houston Texans. By far the best team in the division. I believe that you are going to walk away handily with this division. That doesn't mean that you have any top 100 players. Tyson Campbell's a fantastic corner. I think that there are 15 better corners in the NFL than Tyson Campbell, and that just shows how much talent there is at that position. I think Evan Ingram could get on this list very easily next season. I think Trevor Lawrence could skyrocket up this list next season, but I do think that they were a year away from deserving to be on this list. And the last thing I'm going to discuss is Tua Tagovailoa not being on the list, and Justin Herbert being very high up on the list at number 48. I said it in the write-up for Justin Herbert on the top 100. I'm begging you guys to watch football. I'm begging you guys to watch football. I am very cool, calm, and collected about a lot of things. I don't like to rustle any jimmies. I don't like to rile people up. But this is something that I do not feel bad about riling people up about. He's a much better player than Tua Tagovailoa. I don't care what numbers you show me. Watch them both play football. Watch what both of them go through in their offense. And listen, things with Tua were bad, awful early in his career. That was a product of him not playing well and having a very poor offense surrounding him. He was unbelievably efficient last season, and I think that he could continue to do that. But he didn't do it for 16 games. He had issues staying on the field, which has been an issue for him for a while now. He needs to do it again. And if he can do it again, Tua is going to be on this list, and Tua will be high. I had him a higher prospect coming out than I had Justin Herbert. But Justin Herbert has shown much more. I mean, he has that upper echelon talent that guys like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes have. And with Kellen Moore, that offense, adding Quentin Johnston to that offense, having any semblance of speed, because when you watch the Los Angeles Chargers play, you are watching Justin Herbert throwing passes leveraged away from defenders who are draped on Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, because neither of those guys are quick enough to separate anymore. Keenan Allen will get open against zone. He will be open. He will be able to get that first down on 3rd and 7. He'll pick up 8 yards, but he is not going to be that downfield threat that a team needs to create explosive plays. And it doesn't matter how good your arm is, you can only leverage passes away so well from defenders. You're seeing Mike Williams go up against defenders with one hand away from his frame, catching passes. It's not because he's listen, he's a great receiver. He's a good receiver. I'll say he's a good receiver. He didn't make my top 100. But that comes down to Justin Herbert being able to leverage that pass away and for him to be able to make a spectacular catch while not being able to separate from a paper bag. Watch them both play football and try to tell me with a straight face that Tua Tagovailoa belongs on this list above Justin Herbert. And that ladies and gentlemen, is my top 100.